Okay, hello. It's 6 o'clock, so we're going to start promptly. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Core Choreography Competition Artist Talks, Episode 4. Over the last few weeks, we've been going live every Tuesday to speak with the semi-finalists of C3, a choreography competition we launched in 2019. We give them space to share their thoughts, perspectives, and learn more about their work. And the winner of our C3 competition will set a new work on CHEN Project dancers for our next season, which we are aiming for fall 2021. A lot of people work to make those things happen. So stay tuned for updates. My name is Jessica Chen, and I am Artistic Director of CHEN Project and one of your hosts this evening. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am occupying stolen Lenape land, which is currently referred to as Midtown Manhattan, New York. Joining me here is Neysha, my co-host, and she'll be introducing herself in a little bit. And we have a special guest tonight who is going to be sharing some information on a very critical movement that's happening here in New York City within the dance community. I also want to say that Pavan, who will be speaking, produced CHEN Project's first full evening show 10 years ago. OMG. So I'm so happy that he's here, and he has been a leader in our community and is a leader now when we need him the most. And I just fully support everything that he's doing. So Pavan, tell us what you're doing.
First, thank you all for having me, Jessica. It's always a pleasure to join you virtually, in person, or otherwise. First, I want to say my name is Pavan Thamaya. I go by he, him, his pronouns. We are gathered on the unceded land of the Munsee Lenape peoples. I ask you to join me in acknowledgement that the elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. We also acknowledge that it was founded upon exclusions and erasures of many indigenous peoples, including those whose land this institution is located on. This acknowledgement demonstrates a commitment to beginning the process of working to dismantle the ongoing legacies of our settler colonialism. So I'm here because our dance is facing an existential crisis. Our industry, our people are facing long-term hardships and an unknown future. As you know, you can go get your hair done, your nails done, your eyes did, and all that good stuff. You can get a massage, you can swim in an indoor, you can swim in a public pool, you can go ice skating, but you can get gyrotonics, but you can't dance, right? And that to me seems like an injustice. I think to anyone who thinks about it for a moment realizes it is an injustice. And it is not because there is not provisions out there for us to reopen and start dancing. It is because dance has selectively been targeted to not reopen for reasons still unknown. And studios around the city have been forced to close or have been targeted. We've been given poor guidelines or no guidance. We've been told to dance outside. And then when we go outside, we're told that it's illegal. We are being told that we are gyms when we are in fact not gyms. So we have a long list of issues. And in the end of it, no one's here to help us, right? You're not getting any help from the city. The state is not providing our artists with any help or even any advocacy. So we have to advocate for ourselves. So in my struggles to reopen my studio here and represent my community, I have found that there are many others who share in this struggle. And among those are other artists and choreographers, but also other business leaders and professionals. And what we have done is we have started a petition which has almost 8,000 signatures. I saw a couple more just a moment ago. Thank you, crew. But we definitely need a lot more support. We have about 8,000 signatures. We are sending this out to gain support behind our push. We have a lot of press attention coming up, and we want to show New York and the world why our billion-dollar industry is essential, why our dancers are essential, right? So I urge everyone to join that petition and asking for clear regulations and for fair treatment under the law. I also ask other studios, other institutional leaders to join us. We have created the Dance Studios Alliance, which is an alliance between, unprecedented alliance between a dozen or so more studios. We have myself, Steps, BDC, Ballroom Hub. I don't want to keep name dropping. I'll be here all day. Perry Dance. We've been working with, all of us have been working together to really get our studios open and give our artists a place to work, a place to earn, a place to train, because we really need that now. We're not going to have shows for a while. We're not going to have the normal gigs. Auditions are going to be far and few between. We have to get our studios open because that's the place where we can start to rebuild. All right, so that's why I'm here. I want to thank everybody for the platform and for listening. I hope you can support our cause. And hopefully we'll all be able to dance together again soon. And I can't wait for that day. Thank you guys so much for the platform. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Pavin. That was just absolutely amazing. We need people like you out here advocating for us dancers, the studio owners. It's everyone. We all need to get on this together. So please go ahead and click the link in the chat box so we can sign the petition. We're at almost 8,000, so let's get it up to 10. Well, my name is Neysha. I'm always here every week helping Jessica out. I'm one of her dancers and a dancer in the city. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I currently occupy Canarsie and Muncie Lenape land, otherwise known as Brooklyn, New York. We have 2 more announcements today. CHEN Project is working on a special dance film that will premiere later this month. We will be announcing it soon, so please stay tuned. And if you're not on our mailing list yet, you can sign up on our website with the link provided in the chat box. The last announcement that we want to talk about is very important. The cutoff to vote, to sign up for voter registration is this Friday, October 9th. In New York City this year, new voter registrations have dropped 50% in comparison to 2016. That is a lot. So voting is our chance to raise our voice for what's best for our families, community, city, and country. We can still fix this. So check your voter status at vote411.org. We will also be providing that in the chat box below. And yeah, to you, Jessica.
Okay, thank you, Neysha. Thank you, Pavin. We are dancers, but we are also part of a larger community that we very much care about. If you are joining with us now, tonight, we ask that you comment in our comment box, in our chat box, so that we know that you're here with us. We do see the numbers of views, but we don't know who's here. And so please say hello. And also, if you have any comments or questions for our panelists that we're going to be bringing up shortly, then please share them. We will have a panel discussion at the end of the evening that Neysha will facilitate. So we'll be gathering questions throughout the evening. We will say bye to Neysha for a little bit, and I want to bring on our first guest of the evening, Shoko Tamai. Shoko.
Hi.
Hi, Shoko. Thank you for joining us. If you can, please introduce yourself and then tell us a bit about how you started dance and your dance background.
Thank you, Jessica. Hi, everyone. My name is Shoko Tamai. My preferred pronoun is she, her, hers. And I'm currently living in Upper West Side, Manhattan, New York City. I would like to acknowledge Muncie, Lenape, and Wapinga land. I really hope I'm not pronouncing completely wrong way. If natives watching this, I'm so sorry. I am half Japanese, half Korean. I came to New York City about 12 years ago, but let me go backward. First of all, I just really wanted to acknowledge and say thank you to Jessica. I feel really nervous at the moment, honestly, because every time the stage manager cue me that I'm ready to go on, it's usually when I'm not having conversation and I'm just ready to perform. So it's kind of like a completely opposite of what I'm doing. So I question myself like, wow, this is a really great opportunity for dancers to actually have a voice to speak truth, where we are always exploring with the body languages. We never had a chance to speak out. So in the way, I'm very thankful. That's how nervous I am. And yes, thank you for having me here. So I went to, when I was in Japan, I always felt dance was very much survival for me. It was not yet I felt art. First of all, I was always having this weak asthmatic body when I was born. So for me to dance was almost like making myself stronger, a new system, and easy for me to breathe and make my body stronger so that I can actually have fun with my brothers as a childhood. So I guess that's why my mother put me into classical ballet was one thing, such as gymnastic, swimming pool. Swimming was another things. So eventually I fall in love with dance. As you can imagine why, dance is the most honest feeling you can actually put your heart out there. And sometimes it's a very vulnerable place, but it's actually a strength to be a vulnerable place, to explore your, truthness. And I think it's a very beautiful platform of art. So I fall in love with it. I started out with classical ballet in Mount Fuji area called Yamanashi-ken, underneath of Yumi sensei. It's very funny because I'm mountain girl and I should be hunting, but actually I'm studying classical ballet, which was a very funny thing to begin with. However, I got into ballet so much because it was very challenging, but also when I first time performed on the stage, I felt like there was a power inside as a child that you can actually be able to speak freely, where your parents are actually having fun and smiling together. You could see from very far away, and that feeling you remember it, cherish it forever. So I guess that's why I love to always performing on the stage as a child. When I became 13 years old, actually way before that, when the 9/11 happened in America, I really wanted to come to America. But when I auditioned, there was a video auditions, and a couple of my ballet teacher had a connection. So I auditioned for School of American Ballet. And when I finally got the student visa, F1 visa to come to America, the same year, I believe 2001, the 9/11 happened and the visa was taken away, unfortunately. So I couldn't able to come to America. And I was so disappointed all these years of working every day, 365 days of ballet life, where you really wanted to go out of Japan and really fly away for your dream. That was like my dream all the time. So when my visa was taken away, it was like, However, I had another opportunity that was calling me to England, UK, London, where my another ballet teacher, who was assistant of Yumi sensei, had a connection to audition a couple of schools such as Central School Ballet, Royal Ballet, English National Ballet, and I got a scholarship for Central School Ballet. So I moved there instead of America. So I began my career in United Kingdom. And it was pretty lovely, but I didn't speak English, as you can see me speaking such a not wonderful English speaking. So exactly, I have never studied English. So I'm just like trying to figure things out here, trying to use my imagination to speak so that you guys can understand wonderfully. When I went to England, it was very interesting to see how they were accepting me as I am. When I was in Japan, I remember that I had to put all the makeups on me to make it look like I'm a white person. When you grew up in Japan, like all the dancers actually put pancakes and the body foundation on your body to make it look like you're much whiter skin than actual your color skin. And when I went to England, my first impression was like, oh my God, I actually don't need to put foundation on all my body and I can be who I am. That was like my most happiest things ever when I moved there. Slowly, I started to study ballet there. My last year, when I became about 16, 17, couple of us got selected to perform with a company called Ballet Central. And I was lucky enough to be part of it. And we went to tour in Scotland and all United Kingdom. And that was, I remember it was like almost a dream come true feeling, because I just wanted to wake up in the morning and wanted to dance. That's all I wanted to do. So I almost felt like that's when I'm finally catching it after all the hard work you've done. I mean, dancers are such a humble being. So anyone that's watching this, I'm sure you can relate it to how hard as dancer we work our life. So basically I was a workaholic. There was no luck. There was no, everybody said you're very lucky. Yes, we are very lucky, but we work really hard to deserve that luck and fortune and abundance and all that. When I finished touring with Ballet Central around England and Scotland, I went to Germany because Dresden Ballet, and there was a couple of my friend was dancing there. I could be able to take company class. So I started auditioning tour up and down all Germany you can possibly imagine. I walked a little bit in the ballet room in very close from Munich. I used to take night train by myself in Eurostar. I washed my leotard and tights in the night train, and I hung there. And I close the curtain, I fall asleep, and when I wake up, I'm already in like a different city. So I lived like that for about 6 months, and I finally got the job. And my destination was actually in Italy. The connection that I had in the ballet room, the one of the director liked me. So I went to Italy and I did the same thing, auditioning tour. But then I finally found a job, which was to work with Rome Ballet for 1 season. And it was pretty incredible because Italy has so much history. So it's not just you are professionally dancing every day. You are learning history of dance. You're learning this new language. Italian is very difficult. No parlo italiano. There's so many new people that you meet, but you always feel family because dance is family, and wherever you go, that's your home. And I still had in my mind that I always wanted to come back to America. I wanted to come to America. So when I finished in Italy 1 season, I finally came to America. But the miracle things that happened was the time that I was working in England, his name is Bruce Sampson. He was my director. He was the second director of San Francisco Ballet when I was moving to America. So he was giving me a couple of great ideas to which company to audition. So as Williams classmates, I used to call Bill. Bill was my ballet mistress when I used to work with Ballet Central. I loved him so much. His best friend, his name is Arthur Mitchell. He has a company called Dance State of Harlem in New York City. So Bill told me to go check it out, Dance State of Harlem, when I go to New York City. So I did. And the day that I happened to go to Dance State of Harlem, it was exactly the day of when Mr. Mitchell was birthday. So he was having this birthday cake, and at the studio in the morning around 9 a.m., everybody was feeling happy and excited and celebrating, where Usually Arthur Mitchell is like very stubborn face and strong. And as soon as he walk into the studio, all the dancers just like as if no one sees him, but everybody very strict. So he was the kind of man like that makes us feel like, wow, the energy is coming into, like enlightened energy is coming into the studio that we have to be shut up and just observe him completely kind of energy. So he came into the studio, he was like, Miss Japan, you're here for audition. Like, you're lucky, this is my birthday, let me see. And he watched me, observed me a couple of minutes and hour, and later on he called me in his office and he said, can you come back tomorrow? And then I went back to the second day and he gave me a visa to come back to America. And actually I didn't tell you, but the time that I came to New York City, I actually auditioned for about 3 months already, and my visa was almost gone. Tourist visa was almost cut off, and it was about 2 days before the visa was cut off. So if it was not Mr. Arthur Mitchell, I wouldn't be able to come back in America. So I thank you so much for even nowadays how much I appreciate him, that he opened another portal for my life. And sadly he passed away just recently. I went to the funeral and reconnected with all dancers friends, but yeah, he will live through me, through all dancers forever. I was one of the last dancers that he hired, with Ingrid Silva, Elisa Toro-Franchi. I had amazing, blessed experience with Arthur Mitchell. I never forget that he called me in his office, said, do you have a boyfriend? And I said, not yet. He said, make sure when you find your boyfriend, you are going to ask him to massage your body every day. Things like that. It's just a jokes and jokes, like serious stubborn face, but inside how kind and humorous. That's the Arthur Mitchell to me, he was. After I worked with him, 2008, 2010, 2011, when Miss Virginia Johnson came, I said goodbye to Downstate of Harlem. It was time for me to explore so much more. I don't know if you actually understand the feeling of doing same thing over and over again and again and again. You wake up in the morning until you go to bed. So imagine you're dancing classical ballet since you're age 2 to 20 years past. So my life was like that. I didn't know anything else but classical ballet. I didn't know how to do math, and that's not the important things, but like how to play. I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know like simple things when I finished working with Downstate of Harlem. So I wanted to explore life. So I worked with a company, World Jazz Dance Company in Los Angeles. I took off, I became nomad and just travel around, and I started to learn belly dance to, you name, modern dance to contemporary dance. I work with Forces of Nature Dance Theater from Abdel Salam. He's one of my another mentor. I worked with him for a very long time. Yes, and one of the things I was learning was traditional Asian dance, such as Japanese dance, Chinese dance, even a little bit of Korean dance. And I learned how to dance Indian dance, which was very interesting. This unlimited hand languages that later on I incorporate, which I'm gonna tell you. But that time from 2011 to 2014 was very important time of my life, because you know, when you work so hard and you couldn't see anything else, you were like this. I wanted to have like a breathe in so I could see a big picture of where am I going, and see, like, take a control of your life instead of surrender and just dance and happy and, you know, no money basically. that was my life when I was teenager to 20 as a professional dancer. So when it's hit around 2014, I went to Thailand, place called CHEN, which I told Jessica about this already, but this place is called heaven in Thai, where there is no boundary between the horizontal on the sky and the ocean. So it's blue, just one color of the blue, like no boundary, just the one blue. So there I performed this piece called Dancing Shiva. It was masculinity and femininity combined together, distraction, creativity combined together, dancing with a spear, but the trident at the time, but you can also call it bow. So I incorporated martial art with traditional Japanese dance and Indian dance with classical ballet, contemporary dance. So somehow I danced this piece, and in the audience, they were calling me Ninja Ballet, Ninja Ballet. So I thought this name is really good one. Since next day, I was having a breakfast and people were coming to me and said, "Hey, Ninja Ballet, it was a very good performance yesterday." So I was like, this name, people doesn't remember my name, but actually people remember about Ninja Ballet. That's a really good one. So I took back the name in New York City and I formed a company called Ninja Ballet, which was 2017, but 2016, 2015, I was already working, writing the storyline, choreographing. I started choreographing off-Broadways and a lot of theater pieces around those years. So I had a lot of time to actually work on my performances, and especially I was traveling around. So I wanted to bring this performance in New York City. So when I formed Ninja Ballet, everything was completely different. Like imagine like classical ballet where the story that has been told again and again and again, over and again for past 200 years. But Ninja Ballet is like what we are going through our life 2020. That's what we put in the script, and we choreograph and compose together in the one studio, like all days in the golden age time where we used to create art together for day and night. So that's how we do with many of us together, and we've been producing the shows in New York City. So this is our third year and life-changing experience for me. And I would like to share with you more, but Jessica, please tell me if I'm talking too much or too long, or if I should keep going. Sorry.
No, you did a great job. You covered everything that we talked about. And so I think that we can let you go right now. And
Okay.
if the audience has any questions for Shoko, your story is incredible and so inspiring. And we're so happy to have you here in New York. You spent a long time to get here, so we're very grateful for you to be here. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
Yeah, we're gonna just say goodbye to Shoko for a little bit, but she'll be back at the end for our panel discussion. So if you have any questions, if you're just joining us now, please pop your question into our chat box, and then we'll see Shoko back in a little bit. Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
So for our next guest, this evening is going to be Melissa Bobek. Hi, Melissa. Awesome.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. If you can introduce yourself to our audience and share a bit about your background.
Sure, no problem. Thank you. My name is Melissa Bobek, and I'm a dance artist and educator. I am an assistant professor of dance and the ballet program head at the University of Utah School of Dance. My preferred pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I live on land that is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, and Ute tribes that is currently known as Salt Lake City, Utah. And thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and thank you to Jessica for arranging this and providing this platform to talk about our art. So I am originally from Birmingham, Alabama, and grew up training in classical ballet very young. My mother was a teacher, so I wanted to be at the studio with her, so I got started pretty young. I would also note that I feel like from an early age, I was interested in composing dance. I mean, I was just a kid, but I found it fun to be creative in that way, to make up dances. And I would say that my teachers were very supportive, and I think that was profound for me growing up. Like I got good positive feedback for being creative in that way, and I think that really affected me as I grew up. After I graduated high school, I went to Indiana University in Bloomington to get my undergraduate degree in ballet. And honestly, when I got there, I remember kind of noticing this difference about feeling that I was interested in choreography and creating works. One of our requirements at Indiana University was to choreograph something, and I remember that most of my friends were kind of afraid of this idea, and that all of a sudden that caught me off guard. I didn't quite understand, because for me, choreography and kind of piecing movement together had always just been a fun activity. So I was really excited, and I remember being shocked the first time I realized that not everyone had fun with this, or that not everyone was interested in this. And again, I kind of credit my teachers early in my life for just being positive, and when I made efforts in that direction. So after graduating with my undergraduate degree, I moved to Boise, Idaho, and I worked for the Eugene Ballet and for Ballet Idaho. They were a dual city company at the time, and we would perform every show in both Boise and in Eugene, Oregon. And we would also travel all around on tour sometimes. And I was very lucky there to work for a female director, Toni Pimble. She's still the artistic director of Eugene Ballet. And she was quite an influence in my life, kind of feeling her lead a company was a powerful thing to watch. And she also gave me the opportunity to choreograph on the professional ballet company. So I create a work first for the academy, and she saw that work and then asked if I would make something for the professional company. And so I was honored and excited for the opportunity. And I ended up making 3 works total while I was there dancing for that company. And then from there, I moved to New York City. I spent a little bit of time freelancing, just a little bit, but then realized I was really ready to start my graduate work. And so I completed my master's at Purchase College. And again, there I did my master's. My thesis was a choreography project. I focused on choreography. So that was another a moment for me where I got to branch out a little bit. I was exposed to more dance styles at Purchase. I had really been very classically, focused on classical ballet up until that point. So it was nice to kind of branch out and see some other dance styles. And as a choreographer, I felt like I got to spread my wings a little bit and try some things other than maybe traditional classical vocabulary. And then I completed my master's. I worked and taught around New York City for 2 years while I was applying for positions in academia. And I got my first job at Mercyhurst University and was there for 4 years in Erie, Pennsylvania. And then I moved to Salt Lake City, and I am now at the University of Utah. And it's a great place to be. I've been here for about 4 years, and I feel really lucky to be here. Jessica,
Hi.
Hi. That was the background part of the question.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about how teaching during teaching during this time has been this year?
Yeah. It has been very interesting. I mean, everyone's life is totally upended, and we, like many universities, were, at spring break, we stopped having any last year, stopped having any in-person classes, and we went all online. And then this fall, we worked really hard to try to find a way to have some in-person classes. And the University of Utah has kind of spearheaded this movement. They felt strongly that they wanted to try to have students on campus some of the time, and we have been able to do that. It's worked pretty well so far. We have put everything online that we could, like lecture classes and things that would be easy to do over Zoom. And then we have just prioritized our technique classes in movement classes in our spaces, and we're all masked and we're all distanced, and we've made the class sizes a little bit smaller, but so far so good. The classes are working out pretty well. An interesting thing too is choreography at this time. We have made kind of a commitment to our students that we wanted to do what we could to try to have as many of our performances. And so we made the decision that those would be live stream performances. And so I took on the task of choreographing something for this, our very first upcoming show. And it's been a really interesting process. I've had about half of my time in the studio with the dancers, and then the other half of the time we've been on Zoom. And I mean, I certainly don't have it all figured out, but but it has been a really interesting kind of I don't know, lesson in flexibility. I think you just, I think you have to be flexible every day. I mean, for all of us, like, life is really unpredictable right now, And so I have tried to approach this piece that I'm working on with my students as, in one way, trying to kind of access some of the feelings and the emotions that we're all dealing with and struggling with right now. As a choreographer, I really like to kind of take a little thought from myself, but then share that with the group of dancers and see what they think and what they feel. I don't want to be a choreographer that just comes in the room and kind of just gives people steps. I find it I find that the performances are, for me, most powerful when we kind of act as a community and the choreographer works with the dancers. And I feel in the end, we end up kind of weaving together just our thoughts, and that becomes the final product. So this piece that I'm working on right now has been a little bit about trying to access some of those feelings we all are struggling with in this moment. And I don't know about everyone else, but sometimes I have trouble accessing those feelings like in the moment. I can't quite figure out what I'm feeling. So for me, choreography is really kind of cathartic in that way. I can try to dig down and figure out what I'm feeling about a certain thing. And so we've talked a lot about just our plans, the loss of plans, the loss that we all feel. I mean, everyone has lost something, and then the frustration with that and the anger that comes along with that sometimes. Then those other moments where you are trying to pretend everything is normal, or kind of clinging to this, like, this used to feel comforting, so I'm going to try to do these things that make me, that used to feel normal and comforting, but sometimes even those don't work, But in the end of my piece, I think the dancers and I really kind of came to this conclusion that there is a decision made. you need to make a decision to move forward. Nothing feels normal, nothing feels quite right, but like the power in sort of making the choice to be flexible and to reevaluate things and to take that next step forward. Not even knowing if it's a right choice. There isn't a right choice some of the time, right? So yeah, so we've been working on that and kind of trying to access all of those thoughts and feelings while we've been working in the studio some days and on Zoom other days. And yeah, it's been a really interesting process.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. The power of making a choice. You know, I think everything gets amplified this year when, like, if you step on, like, if you step in mud, or, you know, and then it just amplifies because we don't have those things that we usually hold on to. So that was very beautifully said. Before we let you go, I would love to, if you could talk a bit about the meaningfulness of working under a female director, and why that was, how that shaped you, and just if you can share with us.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, I'll reference a little bit about what Shoko was saying. When you grow up in ballet as a young woman, um, ballet itself is about kind of conforming, right? It is about conforming to a specific aesthetic look. And within that training, there's very little opportunity to literally speak and use your voice. You go to class and you are quiet and you listen and you work, and you work inside yourself. And I think that ballet dancers sometimes grow up without kind of being made comfortable, you know, to even speak. I mean, I see this in my students a lot. They come into the university and we want them to, you know, critically think and to speak and to share, but it takes them some time. They are so used to literally being quiet and not speaking and doing what they're told. The other thing is, in ballet, there is a shortage of male dancers. And so often the male dancer, either, you know, maybe there's one male in your studio, they're kind of celebrated, and they're, it's not their fault, but they end up being kind of put on a pedestal sometimes. And while there's a group of women, you know, and so this sort of idea, we're told as young dancers that females are a dime a dozen, right? The idea that you could be replaced in a moment's notice, while the male dancer is rare and special. And so, it kind of is no wonder that our art form has so many males that are in positions of power. And so I feel so lucky to have worked under Tony Pimble, to kind of just have that. It is, even, you know, I was out of college, but I was still young, and you know, I was 22 and still learning a lot. So kind of had that as something that I could aspire to, that I could see her operate, and you know that was a possibility. So yeah, I think it's so important for young women to see females in positions of power like that.
Yeah, it's all representation and visibility is so important. If you don't see it, you don't know it's possible.
Right.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing, Melissa.
Thank you, Jessica.
So we will let Melissa go for a little bit, and then she'll be back at the end. So if you have any questions, I do see a few questions popping up. So Neysha will be gathering them for our Q&A session of the evening. And now I want to bring on our third guest of the evening, Liz Mulkey. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background?
Yes. I'm Liz Mulkey. You'll also find me as Lizzie, keep it confusing. But I am a choreographer, dancer, actress, and teacher. My background, I really came from an acting family and sports. And then I turned to my 2 actor parents and said, I want to dance. And thankfully, they're super supportive. I got to go to college for dance, but was lost in body and discomfort in my own body and mind. So I took a little trip through mindful arts, other dance art forms that were less obsessed with image or perfection, which is not to say that's bad. It's just a different, I wasn't into that style. That style was hitting a nerve point for all my insecurities. And I didn't know why I was dancing. So I turned to arts like West African and Gaga and all the improv arts, where I got to kind of explore how my body actually moves. What does it feel good about? Where's the story? What's the emotion? And I think that drove me towards choreographing, because I kept having images play in my head and I was going to give it up. But they just keep playing. So I gave it a chance in New York. And with the Tank Theater, I got to do my first evening length. And that set me off to keep learning and keep creating. People like Doug Verone, and B.B. Miller, who both I got to see at Bates International Dance Festival, who really triumphed the art of rigorous improv for choreography. Sometimes the choreography comes and it's perfect and it's clear and it's 5, 6, 7, 8. And sometimes I have a score and I don't want to ruin it by enforcing an image on a body or an emotion on a body that doesn't want it. So yeah, I'm currently into this way of how do you move the body? The body likes to be a little sedentary, or it likes to be into misery, or it likes to be the story, whatever your story is. Some people are like just naturally happy and they're like in it to win it. And there's this person, a volunteer over with Bread and Roses, Christopher, who comes out like, life is beautiful. Who are you? How are you? And I'm not that way. I'm more like, tick on the things that are not working. This isn't working. And that doesn't make my body want to move. And it's like a cycle, because once my body doesn't want to move, I go deeper into that negative story and all the things that are not completely true. There's a wonderful exercise called The Work. Is what is true? Is it completely true? Is it ultimately true? And that kind of shifts you out of your box of your ego stance. So that's what I aim to do with my teaching, whether it's be mindfully moving your body, doing fitness, functional fitness, or if it's doing, brain leave me and come back, or if it's teaching choreography and improv scores, where I teach at Loyola Marymount University. And I also have an online class every Thursday where we animate breath. And the whole point is to go in and go slow and go less, ask less of the body, be more of an observer. What's actually there? What are you working with right now before you impose an intention? What if you just had attention? And then as you slowly start to move and focus on the breath and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, you also then get more options. I have a little bit more energy. I have a little bit more creative delta waves. And it's kind of what one of my great friends, Gia Jackson, called a body check-in. All the joints, the head, the shoulders, the spine, the hips, the arms, the feet, the legs. So as I usually do, I think I've talked in circles, that I'm a circular brain. I'm not a linear brain. But that is my background. Just to reiterate, what I'm working on is currently these 2 classes, yin yoga on Wednesdays and on Thursdays, and animating your breath. And in the spring at LMU, I'll be teaching Intro to Choreography, as well as a digital dance intensive to help people build their portfolios. I only got the opportunities I have in my life because I kept showing what I'm making. Jacob Jonas even said it, nobody knows what you're doing unless you show it. And a lot of us push through ego and like, oh, I don't want to put my stuff up. Like it's me, me, me. Yeah, that's you. That's your voice. And also if you don't put stuff up, you're not looking at what you're making. And so you can't really have a lens on, oh, what do I make? What am I saying? It's that kind of like past tense reflection that helps you define where you're actually have been and where you're going. Michael Gutierrez is another great teacher for that. So circular speaker, reel me in, CHEN.
So Liz, you are in Southern California, you're in LA right now, right? In Venice area, and you have been there for a while, and you also spent a lot of time in New York. So I would love to hear more about your experiences between like LA dance community, New York dance community, if you can just share some insights.
Sure, yeah. Again, I've been a little bit of an outsider in the way that I wasn't classically trained, coming from an acting background and then leaving dance for 6 years and then having a great partner who said, stop talking about it and do it. But I really found in New York, it's again, this is my subjective view, that the stereotype of New York being about process versus goal, that may not be the whole city, but there's a mass amount of people who are into it. They're like, let's do it from the bottom up. Versus here in Los Angeles, I had to go against like, well, what have you made? Where have you been? What stages have you been on? And I was like, I haven't got to do any of those yet. So I can't tell you, nobody gives me the opportunity. And that's when I started to turn towards making more digital things, to be like, I have a version, I know what I'm doing. I just haven't got the stage to put it on yet. So, but I think a lot has changed since I'm 36. So a lot has changed since I came up in it. A lot of New York dancers came out here, a lot of Chicago and Minneapolis, and people are growing the dance scene for sure. There's just a brilliant amount of opportunity. I'd say come out and grow it with us. It's amazing. You know, also, I just want to heads up to Boston. Lion's Jaw has been an amazing community of people in process and speaking out and being underheard voices. So giving a platform to underheard voices. So just also another place to put your roots in. And Neysha is going to take my digital dance workshop. Again, I'm just doing that workshop because I want to share what I've learned from Jacob Jonas, from Michael Gutierrez, from the Gotham Dance Company. The Bear Dance Company just had a 48-hour film fest that I got first runner-up with my friend Jackie DeFranca. She is a beautiful woman in Maine. And there's just all this, it's so much energy. People, all the dancers I know have so much energy that's just like falling on its face because there's no community or accountability. And so really just it's a weekend of accountability. If you know the things I'm telling you, great, put them into practice. When's the last time you did them versus just like had them in your brain, right? So if you're not going to put it up on a digital portfolio, have it be your sketchbook. Like the InShot is a fantastic application that we're going to use, and just also will help you be a better communicator with your editor, the people who you would like to edit your film, and then you can understand how to better shoot it yourself, have more autonomy, or to speak with a director of photography, have a little bit better language around that.
Yeah, we're working on a dance film right now that we announced, and it's a whole nother world. They have different roles, they have different titles, and you know, people wear different hats. I would love to. I'm wondering, for you as a choreographer, what are some of the differences between creating a staged work and creating a film, a dance film?
Yeah, I've done so much film lately, but I am a lover of site specific. And with site specific, I mean, that's just so much, there's so much interaction. The history of acting and theater come into play for me there, and how you can disrupt the mundane cafe. Or the first site specific performance I did was with Heather Cappiello, a director in Hollywood, who had a piece she wanted to do about breaking the glass ceiling. And so we took it to Culver City platform, this area where people are having their lunch and what have you, and just like performed it there with, of course, the permission and the go ahead of the establishment. But there, a pop-up show on the beach with a really wonderful musician, Jess Lamb from Cincinnati. And also a pop-up show in San Francisco on the beach, again, with 6 dancers, which we inevitably filmed. But I think there's so much, if you want to learn more about filming dance, go watch a bunch and see how the framing is busy, is really clean. What's the foreground, what's the background, is the subject filling the frame? These are all things that we'll go over, but those are the things that I don't think you're thinking about in live performance. You could probably speak better to that, absolutely.
It's interesting because you speak about pop-up performances and site-specific work, because right now in New York City, that's really the only way that performance exists, is it's popping up in restaurants or just on the streets. You know, that's the only, that is the only way that live performance can exist, really. You know, there are some people doing more things under the radar and things with very strict precautions, but in general, that is like how people are experiencing live performance. Even just out my window on 9th Avenue, we'll hear just big bands come through, and it's really magical. So
you're smiling when you say that. It's such a great disruption. Like, I've always been a fan of street art, graffiti, and street performers, and like how generous, how absolutely generous. And that's not to say, like, please pay our artists, please. They're working hard. It looks fun because they've worked hard to make it look fun. And there is such a beauty in the meditation of an institution where you get that whole screen in front of you. But you never get to pull in or pull out or really be up close to the breath of the person. So there's so many different versions. It's so beautiful that we can morph and keep going. And I love to hear that. LA needs more of that. So all you LA people, come on.
I would love, before we bring everybody else back, we can bring everybody else back in a moment, but I would love to know how you're moving through during this time. You talking earlier about your body and it's yearning to move, or sometimes it's yearning not to move and stay still. Like, how are you coping and moving your body during this time?
Complete roller coaster, like, and I think that's life. That's life. It's a roller coaster. You have to let it be. We have such a capitalistic view of life. It just like it trickles down. Capitalism can be beautiful, but it's not when it goes into your soul and into your art and into your everyday behaviors. Like, every day is not a success. You can have, there's rhythms in nature. Most of my choreography is from nature, is returning back to, oh yeah, the cycles. There's cycles of death. There's poor weather, there's good weather. And like in the storms, right, the rain's coming down, there's like a whole bunch of nutrients that gets spread out. And it could be bad weather in our brains, like the bad weather of staying inside and eating all day and being like, well, that's bad, that doesn't feel good. Next day. And I know that I'm speaking from a privilege of not having a deep mental health issue where I need that. You know, I struggle with it, but not as deep as other people. So please don't take it wrong. Like, I think just dancing is going to save your life. It is skin color in a beautiful way. But I guess I just said that first part trigger, like, I hear so many people having really being hard on themselves about what they've accomplished. And y'all, we're in a big old mess politically, and the leadership is not there. And so really to take care of yourself first and foremost. And if you need help, you got to go ask. And if you see somebody needing help, you know, call the people who can help them if you don't feel equipped. And give yourself those breaks, and then go find those things that bring you joy, those things that really, really feed your soul. You know, like maybe it's a margarita on Tuesday and then yin yoga on Wednesday, or giggling with a friend, watch more comedy, all those things. I think I talk too much all the time.
I was recommended this book one time. It was our 10-year anniversary for CHEN Project, and I was speaking with Chia Morita, who is just like an entrepreneur and just this like maven of a person. And I was talking about our next 10 years. We're celebrating 10 years, but what's the next 10 years and how can I be better prepared for it? And she said, you know what you need to do is you need to read or more listen to Amanda Palmer's The Art of Asking.
Oh, nice.
Read that, yeah. And anyway, she talks about asking as like a muscle. And I have a really hard time asking for anything. So I made it like a daily practice to ask for one thing a day at least. And it was like a thing I had to do. So anyways, asking for help is so very important.
Yeah, that age-old thing where if you need to be seen, you need to be able to ask for help, and also be able for somebody to ask of you. Makes you a whole person.
Wow.
And, you know.
Love that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Liz, for sharing. Let's bring everyone back and let's talk some more. This has been great, beautiful evening so far. So we have Melissa back, Shoko, and Neysha. There you are. I'm going to hand it off to Neysha, who's been gathering questions from our audience. And audience out there, you can feel free to ask. It's not too late. And Neysha, take it over. Neysha, you're muted.
All right, sorry about that. I was so into it too. I was like, welcome back. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. Sarah, I do have a question for you. The question is, sorry, not Sarah. Sarah on our YouTube is asking Shoko. So Shoko, I have the question for you. How do you play? And what do you do to take your time, to take time off, I guess, away from dance? Because you mentioned before how, you know, it was kind of like constantly doing ballet and dance and training constantly. Away from that, how did you play?
Yeah, that's a good one. I realized play can equal to do nothing. When you do nothing, everything you can start think like imaginably fun. Suddenly you see like a pencil and you can create so much. Suddenly you don't have no plan to see anyone and you bump into someone on the street and you hang out with them, all the friends. So I will say do nothing, make a day, do nothing and just cherish your day off. And then that's will be turned into be so playfulness anyway. Yes.
Nice. I like that. It's a different way because you kind of, a lot of people, I'm going to say, I like to pack my days off because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this and that. But doing nothing, that sounds the complete opposite and could probably change my life. For Melissa, have the dances changed due to being digital rather than a live performance? So I guess somebody is asking, has dance changed from live to digital? Like, how has it changed from being live?
Well, for us, in our case in the university, we are sort of trying to replicate what it would be like for the students to do, several performances. So they'll be performing live. But for us, the change is that we won't have an audience and that the show will be live streamed. So we've put up several cameras in our theater, and it will, it won't be totally designed for the camera, but it will be a little bit different because we'll get to switch around between a few different views, maybe have some closer up views of the dancers moving rather than, just the view from your seat. But we felt, strongly that we wanted to give our students that experience of learning a piece and then having, 4 shows to perform. And so we'll just be live streaming. So it's a little different than the digital dance boom that I'm sure Liz can talk about more than I can.
And I think we have another question for you. The next question is, do you have any advice for young female dancers and aspiring female directors?
Speak. Use your voice. And I mean, I think that means something to everybody, different to everyone, For me, I think I found a little bit of my voice through choreography, but not everyone is interested in that. I mean, I think everyone should try it because I do think it is a way into kind of finding your voice. But even just like students who are training and they're young, just asking questions. Like sometimes it is so difficult for young dancers to simply ask a question in a ballet class because it just isn't done. And then it's just not, it's not good. We as teachers, I'm really trying to change that and help people, help my students have the opportunity to speak and think about what they're feeling in their own body and how correction I gave, what does that, mean in your body? How does that feel to you? Is that working for you? So I try very hard to have some dialogue within the classroom, but yeah, I mean, I think there are a variety of different ways to approach that, but it's trying to find your voice and definitely look at the examples that are there. We're slowly getting some more female, directors here and there and female leaders in the dance world. So look at those women, look at the examples that are there.
That was beautifully said. And actually, I want to open this question up to the rest of you, Liz and Shoko, because we all are women. So if you, Liz, you can start if you could answer that question in the best way.
Can you just repeat it one more time just because my circular brain will go?
Yes, of course. So do you have any advice for young female dancers and aspiring female directors?
God, all of what Melissa said was so great. So I don't want to add too much, but I would say go seek out the other women artists that you like, support them. If you want to work with them, reach out. Not to say, all genders, but really let your peers know that you see them and that you like their work and empower them, and you'll probably get that back. Just circles around. And the more art that you're seeing, again, the more you'll get to see what you want to say or your voice or where you want to color.
Yeah, that was beautiful too. And Shoko, any advice for young female aspiring directors and female dancers?
I really would love to empower women at this moment of now, because all my life I've worked with tons of male directors around the world. And I think it's 2020 where we have a choice to stand out and stand up and speak from our hearts. And actually the good things about empowering women is that we can actually see a lot of, I'm not trying to be sexist at all. I think it's depending on the people, but I think we can feel so much inside that we are so emotional. We can understand, have a compassion. So use wisely your wisdom and knowledge and intuition. That's often that, sometimes you react to certain things. You can see from directors all around the world that just reactivity comes out and they just scream or they do things that they need to do. Sometimes that is really important to leadership. But as a women, it's a time for us to stand out. And it's a time to us to speak out community-wise so that we become one and united. That's what is missing. If we speak out and if we united, then we are stronger than ever.
I wholeheartedly agree. And thank you, ladies, for all those answers. Do you have something to say, Liz?
I just, two things of really what Shoko and Jessica, of ask and let yourself fail, because men get to fail all the time at really high levels and like immediately, and we never do, and we always apologize and then go like, I'll go smaller because I didn't do that like perfect. So fail, it's all good, fail up and ask. Sorry, that's all.
Oh, thank you. We needed that. We have a general question for everyone. So what—
I have one thing, Neysha, sorry, I have one thing. There was an artist, like a spoken word artist, and I feel like I tell this story all the time, but I think it was a spoken word artist that wrote, or an author, that every year when she was applying for grants, she counted and celebrated how many rejections she got. Right? I can't remember who it was with the name of the artist, but I thought that was so revolutionary. She celebrated her rejections, because if you have 10 rejections, that means that you put yourself out there at least 10 times. That's 10 times a chance to get an acceptance, right? And chances are you probably did get a yes at some, if you, the more no's you have, means the more that you're putting yourself out there, which means that you probably have gotten a yes somewhere along the way. So I thought that was like such a great way to like flip things upside down. So Liz, yeah, thank you for saying that. It's so true. Just fail. Let's just fail as much as we can, because the more that we put ourselves out there and speak and stand up, like all you ladies beautifully said, the more chance you have to be seen and to be heard. Yeah. So I just it's one of my favorite stories, and something I need to like say so I can think about it and embody it.
So we can all come full circle. Let's all fail together. And then we'll win one day. Honestly, it's all about building community and establishing just more for ourselves. We are deserving of more. We've been at this level for a long time, and I think it's just the peak of, femininity coming together and being able to act as one and continue to move forward onto the next level, which is very empowering. Yeah, thank you so much for all your answers. We have a question from Andrew. What is the next big thing you want to accomplish in dance? I think it could be, yeah, everyone can answer this question. Let's start with Shoko.
I would love to I would love to unite North Korea, South Korea. I would love to unite poor and rich. I would love to us to get together, like for not just us to be happy by dancing. I think it's time for us to do something much more bigger and worldwide, for not like you think you can dance or competition things that's out there every day on the Facebook, but like more people have to watch this channel today, what we did with Jessica Chen. I want to speak out this YouTube channel. I want us to keep doing something. Like, I don't have a TV. I think a lot of children also don't have a TV too, that they can actually witness with real world that we are creating here, and visualizing what kind of world we want to live in. Visualizing by we dancing and making people smile and happier. I think that kind of a visualization and meditation, that's what we need to do more to decide to have there's a choice to have a fear when you wake up in the morning, and there is a choice to actually visualize positivity and what you really want to do today.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Melissa?
That's such a big question. But I guess, I feel like dances and maybe all the arts are kind of in a moment. And, maybe this pandemic has forced us into that moment. I'm not sure, but I think the arts need to change, I mean, and in many different ways. We need more representation. We need to tell everyone's story, and we need to make sure that our audiences aren't all going to die off, and so I just keep asking myself, like, what is ballet or dance, or what is dance going to become? How do we speak to this generation of of people that are growing up in our country? And maybe this pandemic is the moment that we are really going to have to kind of deal with that question. And this so much dance getting put into the digital format is amazing, and I, personally, I want to dive into that. I have not done much digital dance at all, and so I would really like to learn. I need to learn from Liz. I need to come to your workshop. But I guess what I would like to ask is just, where is dance going, and how do we meet new audiences and speak to them and tell them their stories,
Yeah, for sure. I think we're all wondering that. A lot of people have been asking that same question. Like, I feel like in different ways on every episode that we've done so far. It's just, yeah, it's a scary thought. Liz?
Piggybacking off of Melissa, I think encouraging more people to keep dancing so that they can be the audiences, that there doesn't always have to be this, I'm in dance to be the best, I'm in the dance to have a company, or all these higher levels. Like, there's this beautiful just appreciation. I mean, look at sports, right? Or music. So many people just kind of like play 3 songs, but then like love going to a concert. Like, how can we build that community of people? And then, like Shoko's saying, go and see that activist dance and be affected and embodied by it. I think, I don't want to quote you wrong, but that's what I was getting from what you were saying. Obviously, a bigger platform as well, and a bigger idea, what you were talking about, uniting South Korea and North Korea, these ideas of who has wealth and who doesn't, that gap that's also growing in America massively. And that makes me think about who's curating, not just the audiences, but really putting these people empowered, like female directors and female curators and other binaries, so that we have other lenses shown in dance.
Yeah, I know we're tackling on some big topics. All 3 of you are, especially uniting countries with dance. Like, that's huge, Shoko. But it's possible. Nothing is impossible, and that's something that I really like to tell myself. Nothing is impossible. And yeah, we have another question from David. It says, what is one thing you would like to see changed or shifted in the dance world? And we can also throw how in there, like, how would you like to change this thing or shift this idea in dance? We can actually go backwards this time. I like to just change the order. Liz.
I feel like that's kind of what we were just talking about, that idea of getting people, I mean, I'm just going to reiterate what I said, getting lovers of dance, that you don't have to be a dancer, like a label or a high aspiration. So bringing more people who are lovers of it, and then also changing the structures. There's always going to be hierarchy. I don't know that this country can ever change that, but who's in those power positions, that we have to start changing those so that we can see more and people get more opportunities, and these older I'm going to say it, the older white people that don't have, that are coming from a very different world that doesn't exist anymore. And their values are not ours anymore.
Melissa?
Yes, I thank you, Liz. That was great. I love everything that she said. I guess that kind of that question makes me sort of think about my own little sphere, at the university. And I hope that we are like changing expectations in the students so that as they move out into the dance world, that they have different expectations. They don't expect to be in a company, that is that has a authoritarian, male director. I hope we're changing their expectations, that they can see a broader, just a broader expanse of possibilities, so that when these students and the dancers that are training now get out into the world, that they kind of will not put up with the old ways that dance has worked, and that they will be a real catalyst to change some of all of the things that we've been just talking about, to make those changes.
And Shoko?
I think it's so much to say about this, but make it simplifies. I think programmed mind, that is dangerous. That the children is a key, right? Our next generation, our children, that's who is going to change. But it's not that taking responsibility away from our shoulder. Is that we are creator of our universal mind. We don't own our mind. So if we, all of us, that says attachment that's came from our programmed mind from the other generations and generation, that's even before I become a professional, my mom, my dad, my grandmother, grandpa, everybody told me, you shouldn't become a ballet dancer. You're gonna be poor. You're gonna be poor. You're not gonna make money. You need to go to school. I have been programmed all of this mind, even before I become 13, 14 years old. So when I actually enter this world, I try to release from these attachments that came from program mind from somewhere else. I try to disattach, and I actually want to create my own way of belief system, which dance is abundance. Like, for example, I'm actually having this incredible shift in my life where in this pandemic, March, April, May, seriously, the theater closed down. Still, the theater is closed down. Studio, everything closed down, and we all going through very big time here economically. But when around July, August, I was getting called. Ninja Ballet was getting called from private home in the Southamptons to Catskills, Woodstock, you name it, every week. We just have been not performing in the theater. We have been performing in people's home, rich people's home. But people has resources and abundance. They need entertainers. They need dancers. They need musicians because they need to be excitements. They don't know how to live without it. So we are getting a lot of job. It's just that we have to shift our mind, and suddenly our mind opens, everything will come to us. So that's what I like to believe. Also, if you really wanted to make a performance, I was thinking that we can rent some place like Yankee Stadium, or that's too big, but imagine like a stadium where we all can, find a parking area. It's a lot to organize it, but with Jessica Chen and, all of you can do it. We find the parking and we park the car, and 6 feet distance, we have amazing performances and community inside of the car. We can still do performances. There's so many things that can happen right now. Let's not close our mind by saying that dancer, we don't make money. We are abundance.
That's great. Shoko, it's like a tailgate. It would be a dance tailgate party. That sounds amazing.
I know that LA Dance Project is actually working with that because they do have a huge parking lot in their like around their facilities. So what they're doing is they're actually doing the parking method where people are parking. They showed like a video of their planning and how they're going to build the stage and everything like that. It's on their Instagram if you want to look it up, but that idea is out there and people are using it. And
Jacob Jonas did it. He had it kind of like a secret art show. Like he had a lottery where people submitted to try to see the show, and then only like 20 people got tickets, just randomly picked. And then they showed up, and the cars created the stage because everybody and the lighting. So yeah, definitely, it's out there.
And Charlie Santagato, who is going to be on our sixth episode, she'll be on our show on the 20th. She's actually doing that in New Jersey. They're taking over. There's like a parking lot that is for commuters, like folks that live in New Jersey that commute into New York. It's like right, I forget which city, but they're just taking over that parking lot. And they're doing like a drive-in performance. And she actually she was working on their first full-length, evening-length show, not full-length, their first evening-length show when COVID hit. So then they kept working on it, and now they're going to premiere it on this drive-in. So yeah, love it.
all right, I guess I have one last question for everybody. What are your self-care tips? What has been kind of helping you get through this, the previous quarantine, and what have you kept in your self-care Monday, self-care Sunday routine? You can start, Melissa.
So for me, it doesn't get too fancy, but I literally just need to go outside. I mean, I find myself kind of trapped in a chair and staring at the computer for way longer than normal, in my life. And then I have children, so they're at home and they're doing school over Zoom, and that's a whole nother thing to deal with. So for me, I need just like 5 minutes to walk outside in our backyard or something. And Utah is a beautiful place and it's a beautiful month. So I don't get very long for self-care, but just those few minutes outdoors, I find is helping me just kind of continue with a day,
Yeah, reconnecting to nature is paramount. Yoko.
I like to take a bath, and like I have my collection of like salt baths, Himalayan salt baths, to like earth elements, air elements with rose petal. It's good for heart healing. It's like a bunch of stuff that I do I call it my office. And the rolling ball is very important for me. Like day by day, morning, nights, the balls are so important. You can heat it up on the microwave, make it 30-second hot balls, and like just roll your back. It's like self-massaging. I hope it will heal you as well.
Thank you. I honestly might take a bath tonight now that you said it. Yeah, that's a big thing. And Liz?
I have been taking classes of all kinds just to keep my brain alive, and community. So like voice classes, I'm really bad at singing PS, and acting classes to stay on my thing, and teaching. To learn from other people and what they're doing. And a lot of times I love doing stuff I'm bad at. So I remember what it is to start from there, to grow a compassionate heart. And then also just, get outside. Just usually when I throw myself outside or get into some movement, like mandatory dance parties, I'm fine.
Well, thank you, ladies. We have time for one last question. I don't think anybody's thrown up any other questions on the YouTube, but thank you for your answers and thank you for spending time with us on this Zoom. It's been honestly amazing listening to all your experiences and amazing answers to our questions, and can't wait to take a bath in my office later. And yeah, just thank you again. I'll leave it up to you, Jessica.
So we'll close this evening, and before we do that, I just want to say, please follow these ladies. We have included links in our chat box throughout the show, but also in our description, you'll see a link to each of their a portal into Liz, Melissa, and Shoko. So I'm sure it'll take you on other journeys. And Liz, it looks like we might all be taking your digital workshops. So definitely so awesome. This has actually been truly healing for me the last few weeks of meeting artists and speaking to them and listening to them. So thank you again for joining us. And to our audience, thank you for being here tonight and for coming back. If you are able to donate to the arts, we have included their links below, of course, and we also have information on how to join the CHEN Project Annual Fund. You can find that on our website. So if that is a possibility for you, of course, we would be welcomed for it. And next week is our 5th episode, and we are going to have Jillian Mitchell, Belinda Adam, Ama Maagora, and Evelyn Holscher. So we'll have 4 people next week, and we'll be here at 6 p.m. Tuesday, October 13th. And please register to vote and sign the petition so that we could save dance in New York City and beyond. And Neysha is giving me, make sure we take a screenshot before we leave, because I need help with things like that. So let's do it. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. Good night, YouTube world. We'll see you all soon.
Thank you.
And I've ended the stream. Yay.